Welcome to Scoop on Order. We got a double dose of Scoop action tonight. We got B. Moses coming into the house, talk about Penn State. Again, big time matchup, the biggest home game of the year. Loud crowd, a lot at stake. We're ready to rock for that. As always, we appreciate you guys all giving us those likes, those subscriptions, and also those little alerts. Shout out where you guys are watching from. And in the comments, tell me who needs to step up, who needs to play better. The D line, the D line. I think it's going to be a battle one in the trenches. With that being said, got to bring my boy B. Moses. B. Moses, how are you tonight, brother? Again, we've got a lot going on. This is the game of the year for the home slate, because we only have like 6 home games, and this is by far the biggest home game. Your thoughts on it? It's early in the week, but how are you feeling right now, brother?
Man, I'm feeling. There's a lot of people picking Penn State, first of all, that I've noticed. A lot of around the country, college football nerds and Josh Pate.
Lou Holtz. Is Lou Holtz picking Penn State too?
You know what? I wonder where Lou Holtz is right now.
I can't wait for Ryan to say, I want to know where Joe Paterno is right now. I was like, ooh.
And then I can see Jerry Emmett leaning over like, he's probably right. There's something graphic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Penn State love, and I mentioned Josh Pate. He didn't pick Penn State. He went with Ohio State after going back and forth, but his manager or his producer picked him. Colin Cowher. I mean, I'm going through the national media. I'm just like, dang, it's a lot of Penn State love, but you got Penn State fans out here trying to make it seem like, oh, we're not respected, and you don't think we can? No, like a lot of people is picking y'all. So that's been interesting, but I just been like watching the games, watching Penn State, listening to analysis, and I'm just like, yes, I think they're a solid team, but I don't understand the hype as if this is some otherworldly Penn State team we haven't seen before. I mean, they're good, they're a solid team, but even defensively, I'm not going to say they're trash and they're fool's gold, but you have to take account for their schedule before going off the deep end. I mean, there's some 85 Bears, steel curtain-ish accolade type stuff coming from people. Shout out to my dude Carlos Ridley for saying that earlier, to make it seem like they're just like, oh my God, they haven't really played any good offenses. So I think they're good, but I don't know if they're that good as people have been talking. And they certainly haven't seen an offense like ours. So, and I know we have our deficiencies. I'm concerned about our O-line holding up against the best front they'll see. I think Notre Dame was good, a really good test, but Penn State has really good DNs. And so I want to see McCord, be able to make them pay for the blitz that will surely come, et cetera, et cetera. We can go into more than that. But I think it's going to be a close game. And but at home with our weapons, hopefully most of our guys will be back. I think we're going to pull this out.
Yeah, I think Penn State's trash. Again, I think they've played against teams that are not great. They've played Delaware, West Virginia, Illinois, who couldn't score against you. I mean, Iowa, with their 11 guys on offense, can't score on air in a walkthrough because they're so bad on offense. So, and they had Iowa at night in a whiteout with the whole shebang. So they beat the crap out of them 31-0. But Iowa, in that game, lost their starting quarterback. So they had their backup quarterback who was trash. And he came in, and it's like, I think Penn State will be decent, but who have they played? We played Notre Dame. Notre Dame, legit physical outfit, legit physical program. Marcus does a great job. And they absolutely kicked the trash out of USC this past weekend. So, again, I think that you always have to calibrate all of your predictions based on who they've played. And one of their biggest win is West Virginia, who's 4-2, and they've beaten okay teams. And West Virginia's lost to Pitt this past weekend. You have to kind of realize they're not playing the Chiefs, they're not playing the LA, the Rams, the Miami Dolphins, or these prolific offenses. They're playing UMass, and they're playing Delaware, and they're playing Illinois. I mean, not only they play Big Ten teams, they're playing the worst offensive big teams in the entire country. So they're playing Illinois, Iowa. So again, I know that everybody wants to like take their Pepto Bismol, their Malox, and be all take their Xanax and be have anxiety attacks when they're going to play Penn State. But I'm like, I just don't see it. Like Ohio State had to play. We had to play Notre Dame. We've played better players. We've actually gotten better week over week. I think that they are obviously the best team that we've played, but I think they're on par with Notre Dame. I think if Notre Dame played these guys, it'd be a 1 or 2 point spread either way. And I think that Notre Dame with that quarterback is better than Drew Aller and their quarterback. And Drew Aller, when they beat Iowa, threw for like 160 yards. So it wasn't like he threw for 450 yards and 8 touchdowns. He threw for like 160 and 4 touchdowns, which is like that means that he's getting the ball on the 30-yard line and throwing it in and goosing them and whatever. But I don't know. I always, from a comparative standpoint, when I'm studying football, I just look at who have they played, what did they do, how could they match up to us, and I frankly don't think they've ever seen anything like us. Like when their front three guys from left guard, center, or right guard, when they see Tyreek and McCall, they haven't seen anybody like those guys, in my opinion. And last year, when they were better, last year was Sean Clifford, fifth, sixth year, whatever, 95th year quarterback who's with the Packers now, Joey Porter Jr., some guys are super legit. We waxed them at home in their loud stadium, and this year they get to come here, and I don't know. I just think that we'll look back on this in 2 weeks and be like, wow, we were really scared of a guy who's Drew Aller. I think is a good to above average quarterback. He's making his first start in a loud stadium. He dreamed of playing at Ohio State because he has all kinds of anxiety, but I just don't. I don't know. Like, I mean, when you look at the record sheet and you're like, since 2011, we're 11-1. In 2011, like really, we were the worst team in America. But if you take that out, I mean, since 95, I think we're like 18-6 or 7. I added up. I'm like, we dominate this rivalry. This is not some 50-50 coin toss. This is an absolute murderous rampage that we're on versus Penn State. And if again, like I said, go back and look at since 11. The only time we lost since 11 was in 16 when they had that miraculous blocked field goal. So I think that there's a mental edge that we have over James Franklin, their program. Because again, like you can walk into a fight, but like if you go to the boxing gym every night and all of a sudden you're fighting a guy that beats you every single time, eventually that kind of sinks into your head. But I'd love your thoughts on that because I think that there's people that just they're not historians, they don't understand history, and they're just like, oh well, this team on paper looks better, but when you've been owned by Ohio State, what are your thoughts of that, B. Moses?
I mean, listen, all of that stuff I have taken into account. The history, how we've beaten them. Even in tough games, we just seem to emerge. We just seem to just have the upper hand. I mean, I totally get that. I mean, having this at the crib is huge with McCord and our O-line because that's the biggest question, right? I mean, I think most fans at this point are done acting like our defense isn't legit. I mean, like it's to the point where you can't, even the haterist of most haters within our fan base have to concede that, okay, our D is actually good. But I think the biggest concern is, McCord and the O-line. It's been off and on, up and down. So I think that anxiety of, dang, I keep hearing about these Penn State defensive linemen and is Manny Diaz and his smug little comment about, what did he say in that little comment? He was like, I got a lot of thoughts. Yeah. That's what he said. As if he knows something we don't know and stuff like that. But I think a little bit of that is just anxiety and then also the pressure on the fan base this year. Like I said, before the season started, I saw a lot of 9-3. We're going 9-3. We're going to lose to Notre Dame, Penn State, and Scum. Book it. We're going to lose because we lost Stroud and our old, whatever. So we knocked down Notre Dame. Now Penn State is up, the second game that people said we were going to lose. And I just think there's a little bit of anxiety, maybe even from me, even though you're right. Looking at the game, looking at the matchups, looking at everything, it's like, man, why should I be that nervous? But it's a big game, and I want to prove, I want McCord to step up and play a complete game. I want this O-line to step up and play a complete game. I'll say this, Kirk, and some people kind of scoffed at me when I mentioned Purdue. Like, I love what you did, you and Nevada. I watched your breakdown earlier, where you showed the orbit emotion and like that play. When I saw that play, I absolutely loved it. But not just that play. I know it was just Purdue, but what we showed on film, we did less zone scheme, more gap scheme. We simplified the run game to where you saw a hat on hat, pop, pop, Hayden, wide open holes. Like the line looked cleaner. They looked more sure of themselves, more physical because they weren't thinking a bunch. So I know it was Purdue, but what we saw on film, I think really gives me encouragement that we can really put it together this week against Penn State, even against that front, because we have better athletes. We just had to stop being goofy with, the issues we were having up front. And I think Purdue was a good sign that we're in that right direction.
Well, like I said after watching the scheme last week, I thought it was the best Ryan Day has called in a long time, probably since the Georgia game. And like Ryan Day was acting like he was with me and Troy Smith in 06 when we used to go out and everything worked. Like when the girls were out, we're just like, whatever we wanted to say, everything worked because he was about to win the Heisman. So like he was deep in he was shallow in the bag, not deep in the bag, but the Patron Platinum was flowing. Everything we did, everything we called worked. Everything was great, a great call. Like when Troy was ordering stuff, everything was a great call and everything was a blast. And that's how it was with Ryan, because when Ryan was out calling, the counter with the bash, with the orbit motion, with the triple option, he was just eating Purdue's lunch. And again, I think Ryan feasts on a guy like Ryan Walters, who's a defensive, guru who gets the job from Illinois for being a guy who knows what he's doing. Like Ryan's like, ooh, we're gonna see who's gonna eat that lunch. So it's like, Ryan was like, I'm telling you, like when I was watching that game, I was like, ooh, yeah, Ryan's in that 06 mode. Troy Smith, brothers, Callahan's, Hyde Park, all that. Like he ain't holding back nothing, and he is about to eat this lunch. And I think that's how he's about to. Manny Diaz, like Ryan. I like Ryan. Ryan's a very emotional guy, but I think Ryan, when he gets a little emotional, he gets that little BS uppercut from Manny Diaz, where Manny Diaz is like, oh, I know what three guys are doing. Oh, I can't wait to see what they're going to do. I was like, Ryan's like, whoo, we're going to see what you got to do because we got Marvin and Emeka out here, man. So it's like, you can talk all that trash when you're playing Iowa and Illinois and Delaware and West Virginia, but like when the Bucks come to town, you got to go check Marvin Emeka, Carnell Tate, and it's who need to start more and play more. Like, Xavier. You better eat your meaties. And I love Xavier and I love Julian Fleming, but like, you put Instant Tate out there, man. Instant Tate are first rounder difference makers. They need to play more. God bless all those other guys. I think they're great people, great program guys. But, you saw some monsters come out last week, and that's the beauty of these blowout games is like Brandon Inniss gets to dust off his jersey and, take a sip of Gatorade, go out there and go drop a 50-yard touchdown right quick. He contests a catch, takes it to the crib. Carnell had like 80 yards. So, I think that, Manny Diaz is an idiot. I know he's whatever, and he's the head coach at Miami, but he's dumb. Like, he's like, oh, we know what Ohio State's about, and we got to beat on them. Like, he talked all that trash. I'm like, dude, like, Ryan Day, like if he wants to go tax you a little bit, he about to tax you. Dude, if I'm going against a play caller that's got Marvin and Emeka, that's like having Boardwalk Park Place and the Green properties right quick, and you're gonna get waxed in Monopoly no matter what you do. But I'd love your thoughts on what you think the expansion of the offense is gonna look like. Again, I have zero trepidation about predicting Ohio State to win because I just think that we have better players, better coaching staff. All this inertia, all this momentum. But your thoughts on how this thing wraps up as we get into it?
Yeah, so real quick, y'all, after this broadcast, go check out Kirk and Nevada's video. I think it's the top 5 reasons Ohio State destroys Penn State or something like that.
Oh yeah, that thing went buck wild. So we have all these people that have anxiety. I'm like, dude, I have no anxiety. Like I played Penn State 4-1. We lost at 05 when I got hurt, but other than that, we whooped them every year. But I just think that, we like there's certain things like you own. It was like when Urban showed up and was like, you can't call them Michigan anymore. And I'm like, well, dude, I want 4-0 against Michigan as a starter, so I can call them whatever I want. It's like when you own something, it's like when you buy a new dog and you own that dog, and you can call that dog B Moses 2.0, or you can call that dog P Diddy or Tupac or Mick Jagger or whatever you want to call that dog. You own that dog. So whatever you want to call that dog, you own it. So like
Yeah.
we owned Michigan, and like what's even worse than owning Michigan is like we own Penn State. I mean, I'm telling you, since the 11 debacle year with Luke Fickell, from 11 to this past year, they lost one time, 16 that block field goal. Other than that, it's like 12 rip. So they've got one fluky victory, but other than that, it's absolute ownership. But your thoughts on that? Because I think that like the mental advantage is as big as the physical advantage.
Yeah, I agree. What I was going to say though, in that video, go to the 14-minute mark and look at the play that Kirk and Nevada break down. And this is kind of a preface to me answering your previous question about the offensive expansion. Go watch that play. And people say it was just Purdue. It doesn't matter what defense it is. I don't care who lines up, Georgia, Penn State, Michigan. It does not matter. If you go look at the play and look at the levels of conflict and stress that the defense is put under, you see Hayden with a lead blocker to the right. You see McCord with the handoff to freeze the backers. He does a little spin move like Kirk pointed out earlier. And then you have Xavier right there going to the flat. And then if that's covered, Kyle can run. There's so many things you can do. And that wasn't the only play that we saw that Dave pull some stuff out. Like, ooh, okay. So with that said, I really believe we're going to see more of that. We're going to see variations from what we saw against Purdue. Hoping Penn State will bite against what they saw on film and make them pay for it. Henderson back is huge because those blitz packages can be hurt mightily by screens to Henderson or throws to the flat, etc. So I think we're going to see more spreading out of the defense to run the ball. It's not going to be a bunch of 12 personnel, 13 personnel trying to ram it up the middle. I believe it's going to be a lot more spread out and a lot more constraint and conflicting plays on offense. And that's what I think Ryan Day did. He set it up on film. He laid it out there. Boom. All right, what you going to do with it? I haven't even mentioned the Devin Brown package, which we got a goofy debate amongst Buckeye Nation about like, okay, look, he fumbled and he needs to secure the ball. But other than that, I thought it was effective at least to where the defense has to think about it. And Devin Brown is a good enough thrower to where, if they overreact to the run, they can pay. It just gives Penn State and Manny Diaz a lot to think about. So I think we're going to see it really open up this week. And I'm just hoping Ibuka can get back. If not, Xavier will step in and do his thing.
And I love the Devin Brown package because the thing I know about Mormons is they like to score. So when they get that red zone, man, them boys getting it in. So, I mean, Devin, he almost had 3 touchdowns. I mean, he fumbled, but like I'm telling you, I love running the quarterback in the red zone. The young San Jose Penguins are a 1AA team. They did a zone read and they were butt naked running the end zone. The dude hit the little penguin dance, the Jalen Waddle dance. And like, I just think it's so easy. It's like stealing. And I was like screaming at the TV and at, Ryan Day and Justin Fry. And, Ryan's the only guy that calls the plays. So I'm like, look, run the quarterback. It equates numbers. And then they finally did it. And like majestically, the offensive line looks like they're fantastic because they're not running loser plays, or they're getting open boxes, they're getting free access. And I think that it changes the whole world because, again, when you watch the play that we broke down with Nevada Buckeye yesterday, you could see like this is what a fantastic offense looks like. It's so hard to defend. You need so much eye discipline as a linebacker and a safety. If they want to run blitz zero and some of this crazy stuff, well, I hope you guys are on point, because if they're not on point, they're going to get taxed big time, and I'm telling you, like when you see these guys that are fast, like again, Purdue was like the guy who's at the craps table in Vegas at Cosmopolitan, shaking them dice. And he's like, okay, or I'm putting my house on black or on red or on whatever, or on this number. And then when he comes up zeros, you're like, okay, well, your house sucks, and you were just trying, like, that's what Purdue was. Purdue's, they stink. So they were blitz zero, bringing the house, trying to disrupt Ohio State, trying to do anything they could to actually beat Ohio State. But like when you're in a real game, you're not gonna bet your house, like
Right.
Purdue was. So Purdue had nothing to lose. I mean, everyone in the universe thought Purdue would get smoked, and they got smoked. But when you play Penn State, Manny Diaz talk a lot of trash, like he's gonna go blitz zero and do some of this stuff. And I'm like, look, if you're gonna go blitz zero against Marvin, and I pray to God we have Mecca, but if we don't have Mecca, put in Cornell, put in Brandon Ennis, like we're going to the crib. That's the thing about Urban. Is Urban Meyer is the greatest coach in my life that I ever worked with. And he said, look, if teams want to go blitz zero and bring the house, bring 7 guys for a 6-man protection or 6 versus 5, we're going to the crib because we're going to break our routes off, and everybody across the board is man to man. So God bless you if you think you can cover a Mecca, Marvin, Carnell, Brandon Ennis. Again, I would go 4 wide. I'd put a Mecca one side, I'd put Marvin one side, I'd put Carnell and Brandon in the slots. And somebody's going to get absolutely crucified because you're going against Brandon and Carnell in the middle. It's going to be game over. But your final thoughts, B. Moses, on this game. Again, this has been a fantastic podcast, but I'm not worried. Everybody's scared. And it's like I always tell people, look, if you're scared, buy a dog. Don't worry about Ohio State football, but like if you're scared, buy a dog. But your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man. Listen, I always have nervous energy, and anxiety as far as because it's a big game, but just matchup wise, I feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I think we should win this game, even if it's close. But I do think our defense is still. I know earlier I said our haters are starting to come around, but I think subconsciously outside of our fan base, I still think people are underestimating our defense. I've heard a lot of talk about Penn State's defense. I haven't heard a lot of talk about Ohio State's defense. You know what I mean? And the playmakers we have and stuff like that. So I'm really looking for them to make a statement and lay the wood and heat up Drew Aller and force him to make some mistakes, man. So I think that's going to be something that is going to really pop on Saturday that hasn't been discussed as much because it's been, well, can Penn State, smother Kyle McCord and his inexperience and that shaky O-line? That's been kind of the narrative. So I think we're gonna be proud of our defense on Saturday, but I'm gonna go with like a 21-17 or 21-13 Ohio State type of win, especially if it's raining a lot, sloppy, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a big game, man. I just want to shut people up, Kirk. That's a part of the other thing is I'm tired of the haters, the inside our fan base doubting us, just waiting to jump and say, "I told you so. I told you we suck." I'm tired of that. I'm tired of the people outside of the fan base just running their mouth. I just want to get this dub. And so that's kind of my nervous energy is like, man, let's do this, man. Let's shut these dudes up. So, yeah.
I mean, Penn State's they're that guy that shows up fake J's, fake Louis, fake dollar bills. They get kicked out of the club. They put the little marker across the $100 bill and it doesn't work. Like, that's what Penn State is. I'm telling you, they've played West Virginia. They've played Delaware. They've played UMass. Yeah, exactly. UMass. Northwest. Yeah, exactly. Like what are if I said B Moses, if you could bet your house and make $100 million, what are the 3 offenses that you want to go against in the Big Ten for Ohio State or Penn State or whoever to whoop them? You'd be like, oh, Kirk, hang on. Let me get my chart up. Oh, wait, we're going to play Illinois. We're going to play Iowa has the worst offense in the history of the Big Ten, and then Northwestern, who their entire coaching staff's been fired, and they're just a wreck. So you'd be like, well, let's play okay, so we're gonna play those 3. Then we're gonna play 2 1AA teams in West Virginia, who sucks because nobody cares about West Virginia. So you'd be like, okay, so we're gonna be number 1 in the nation in offense. Okay, well, they got to come see us now. There ain't no hide now. There ain't no running. There ain't no backtracking. There ain't no going to the Penn State Creamery. Because I think we're gonna have to tax them a little bit. It's gonna be like, like Alonzo said in training day, man, it's about to tax them a little bit. So it's all good. I love it. Wrap this. Any final words, and then we're gonna wrap this thing, brother.
Once again, we're gonna keep preaching to y'all. Enjoy these games. We more than halfway through, y'all. Enjoy this, especially if we get this dub. Soak it up and enjoy it because we shouldn't take these wins for granted. I don't care how many times we beat these dudes, especially these dudes who look at a close loss as a moral victory. Yeah, I'm talking to y'all Penn State fans. That's how y'all be. So
you guys are trash. So we will say that because I played at Penn State. They're the nastiest, meanest.
I've heard.
And it's funny before pre Paterno getting busted for all the sexual whatever with Sandusky, they were the most pretentious, idiotic fans in the entire universe. So every time we beat them, I'm telling you, it was like sending them to prison. They get to go meet Big Bubba and be they got to be the new guy in prison every time we got to whoop them. So it was fun.
So enjoy it, man. But always a pleasure, Kirk. Appreciate you, brother.
Oh, you are the absolute best. B Moses, my man. B. Moses on Twitter. Holler at my boy. He's the best ever. So we appreciate all you guys. If you guys enjoyed this content, leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. We appreciate you guys so much. It's time to beat Penn State. If you guys love Ohio State football, join BuckeyesScoop.com. We appreciate you guys all chiming in. The chat room is absolutely crazy right now. Our message board is crazy right now. So subscribe if you want the best companion for Ohio State football. With that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.